I'm really glad to see everyone here today. This is really great. I'm going to go ahead and dive in. That's okay with everyone else. My name's Star Johnson. I am the program manager for the Washington Peer Network. Um, this is Wellness Wednesday number one. And I just want to thank everyone for showing up and just give my gratitude to have you guys here and to be able to listen to part of my own story. Wellness is a uh, huge part of my recovery, and um, being able to keep my wellness not just at my recovery wellness, but also in my professional life, my personal life, my physical life, spiritually, um, all of the areas of my life financially has been really beneficial to me. I found at times during my recovery that I struggled because one wheel of that became off, and I didn't have the other wheels really engaged to get me through. I was um, a homeless addict. I lived on the streets. I lied, cheat, and stole in everything I did to survive. I was in many abusive relationships. I didn't have any goals for myself. I was really just untethered, and I lived my life just to survive. That's all I did. In 2019, I was offered a drug court program in Thurston County. And entering that program, I was for the first time able to get some structure. And that structure was really the real bones, the real foundation of my recovery. Having somewhere to be, someone to report to, someone to give my progress to, someone to create goals with, and then follow through with them. That program lasted about a year, a little over a year for me, and ended right at the beginning of COVID. So a lot of the people that I was going to drug court with ended up relapsing because they stopped drug testing everyone. We didn't have that accountability. We didn't have the structure. It was gone. It was erased. And that was the first instance when I went, wow, this is so um, delicate, this recovery, because anything, even things that you think are good, not having to go to class, not having, things that feel good at first, um, create huge um, voids that, as an addict, I know how to fill, but not in healthy ways. And so that was my first instance of realizing, like, okay, I need more than just drug court. I need something else because now drug court's gone, even though I'm still in the program. And lucky enough for me at that time, I had started working at a treatment program uh, facility with other people that I was in drug court with. And so we utilized that space as kind of our own until 12-step meetings kind of got up and running online and stuff. It took a minute. Once that was established, my main source of recovery was 12-step meetings. Fast forward a few years, I mean, that worked for me. I graduated drug court. I worked at the treatment center. I didn't have any desire to use, but I really wasn't advancing um, or protecting myself in other areas. Um, I became certified as a peer counselor. And when that happened, I realized, okay, so there's other aspects to my life that I'm doing. I started working as a peer counselor in the same um, area that I grew up in. I went to school here all my life in Thurston County. I used in Thurston County, went to jail in Thurston County, was arrested by cops in Thurston County, and then I recovered in Thurston County. So I went to all the meetings in Thurston County. I knew all of the drug court people in Thurston County. So I knew a lot of people in Thurston County. I never realized that that was going to be a hindrance to my own recovery. When I became a peer counselor and started working in a well, first I started in the law enforcement assisted diversion, which was a really great opportunity for me to learn how to be a peer counselor. I also was not going to my 12-step meetings. I saw my work as my recovery. I loved my job. It paid well. I had benefits. I had a car. I had a bank account. Things seemed great. I didn't see any reason to relapse. And I thought, like I live by the term of, what did they say? Build a life that's not worth relapsing, make your life so that it's better than what you had. So you don't go back. And that was great for a while. And then, um, as you work as a peer counselor, you have these highs and then you have these lows. And then you have these highs and then you have these lows. And it took a while of that, maybe about 3 months before I started feeling, this feels familiar. This high, this dopamine feels familiar. It feels really uh, uh, my body knew, my body remembered what that was, that feeling of that rush and then that drop. And so it took a minute. I watched a coworker of mine relapse and realize, and I was able to realize like this is what's happening. This is why. Um, Luckily enough, I was able to see it for myself and created a, a wellness routine for myself, which was a set group of friends. I did 90 meetings in 90 days. That was kind of my thing at that time because I'd not been going to meetings. And so I was like, okay, I gotta get this under control. So I did 90 meetings in 90 days. Going to those meetings, though, was difficult. I saw a lot of my participants there. I saw a lot of the people that, I worked with. Yeah, it was a professional environment and a personal environment. It's kind of combining both worlds, and it didn't feel the same as it did before I was working in the field. So I realized, okay, I need to add another layer of wellness. This isn't the only thing that's going to keep me sober. And so what I did was I started walking. I started walking every day. I walked and I did online meetings that were in different locations so that it wasn't people that I knew all the time. But that helped and that worked out for a good while. And then I switched programs and I became HARPS, which is Housing and Recovery Through Peer Services peer counselor. In that role, I worked with every um, recovery house and Oxford House and Halfway House in Thurston and Mason County. Because of that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Oxford and recovery houses when they usually pick a meeting to go to, um, and the whole house goes. Well, that whole house became my home group meeting. And so that was like, okay, well, this is great. Now I need to find a whole nother level because then all I had was my exercise. So I started looking at my personal friends group, and we created a friends group that went and we made sure that we did something. We planned out an event that was something new or exciting that we could do at least once a month. So once a month, I knew I had something to look forward to, something fun to do. I was doing my exercise, my walks every morning. I started adding running to that with my dog, and that helped a lot. But not being able to go to meetings was a pretty big hindrance, and I didn't know how to kind of rectify that. I could go, and I did go, um, but I really was only able to share my experience, strength, and hope. So that made it a little bit difficult. Um, but I kind of kept plugging along, and I started talking about it. I started talking about what do we do as peer counselors when we're getting um, stressed at work. I started talking to my coworkers. I started talking to my supervisor. And that's actually when I found the Washington Peer Network and started working here. And I thought, oh, well, this is great. This is the place that we can go. This is where we can go for support. Funnily enough, right when I started this job, I went from having a job that I knew how to do, I knew exactly what I was doing. And when you're a peer counselor and you're doing great work, people tell you that you're doing great work. It's pretty inevitable. You're doing it right because they're telling you you're doing it right. You're making a difference. And so when I came into this position, there was a period of about a month and a half where I didn't know what I was doing. No one expected me to, but I didn't have that outside validation. And probably within 2 weeks, I noticed I was having negative thoughts in my head and I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know where they were coming from, why they were coming from. Started getting angry with, at things that normally didn't make me angry. Um, a little bit of road rage every now and then. And I thought, this is strange. And this was back when we still had groups on the WPN, and I'd gone to one, and it was like a goal setting group. It wasn't anything much. It was just a goal setting group with a really great um, facilitator who I sat with, and we talked and we talked. And as I was talking, all of this comes out, and I'm realizing that I'm not getting the validation, that I'm feeling like a little untethered. I don't have any goals right now. And I realized, okay, so these are the other areas of my wellness that I need to stay well. My job is not going to keep me well. If I fall and hurt myself and can't exercise, I need other areas. And so to really make my wellness routine robust, I worked with this peer support facilitator and developed a plan. And that plan included financial wellness, personal wellness, professional wellness, social wellness, all the 8 dimensions of wellness. And by doing that, I realized, okay, so this is what I have to do. I have to reevaluate, like what worked for me before isn't going to work for me in the future always. You have to remember to reevaluate your wellness. One of the really kind of eye-opening situations for me with that was walking my dog every day. I walked my dog every day. Well, then we got another dog, and so now I'm walking 2 dogs. My dog walking became a chore, and it was no longer a recovery method or a wellness method. It was something I still do. I still do it, but not for my wellness. I do it as a chore, and it is a chore. I enjoy it, but it's still a chore. They're pulling on me. I'm not enjoying my surroundings as much as I used to. It is what it is. It's a puppy. It's got a lot of energy. The other dog's old and walks slow like I want to. So um, that was really important for me to learn how to recognize that, because that took a while. It took a while. It took about a month before I realized I need to do something else. So what I do, I started going to the gym, and I just have to kind of reevaluate, see where you can pick up where you're feeling off at. And it's really just trial and error. You're going to try things. You're going to think that this is going to work, and it might not work. It might not be the activity that you want. My goal with the Washington Peer Network has been to provide a place where we can talk to others who are going through the same things that we are. And hopefully, if we're needing to create or change or reevaluate our wellness plans, that we have someone there to do that with us. Because it really is, sometimes it just takes an outside set of eyes, or an outside set of eyes to watch while you talk it out. And it literally just kind of comes to you. It is something that we have to do as peer support. Our jobs put us in the line of fire. Our jobs put us in the dangerous place. But I wouldn't want it any other way either. I love my job. I love helping people, and I love providing peer support. It is taxing though. It's hard to listen and be there for someone through some of the worst parts of their life and not think that that's not going to affect you. And so really being able to take care of my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my financial health, all of those areas have allowed me to stay on my own recovery path. And I know next year my recovery path is going to be completely different than what it is right now. My wellness journey is going to be completely different. I think it's really important that we share what works for us and what doesn't work for us with others, because I think in my own journey, it was really difficult to find things that were alternatives. And I felt like, okay, so if I'm not going to a 12-step meeting, that means my recovery is over, and because you get that a lot, and that stigma of you have to be in a 12-step meeting to be recovered or to be in recovery. And it's not, it's not always like that. It doesn't mean that I won't ever go to a 12-step meeting again. I probably will. I probably will when I need to. But at this point, I had to find other areas. It's just what it was. And so I just want to emphasize the real importance of having this supportive group of people that know what we see every day, what we feel every day, and understand. Like just sit here with me, hold some space with me, and I hope that I've provided that space with the Washington Peer Network. Um, that has been my experience with wellness and my journey. I know that other people's is completely different. They have, um, you know, completely different paths. It's just like recovery. Recovery paths are so different, so unique to each person. And so are our wellness journeys. But it's always nice to share your wellness journey with others so that they can, take some or leave some, depending on what it is.